In a year where people screamed, physical media is dying, it's dying. No, it was a juggernaut of a year for physical media. And this is my top 5 favorites of the year. Let's get into it. So 2023 was a massive year for physical media. I mean, we had multiple new labels announced in the boutique label space. We had studios actually putting out some pretty decent stuff. Well, you still have Disney doing whatever they're doing, but other studios putting real effort into their releases and kind of seemingly following in the footsteps of the boutique labels. But there was just a lot to celebrate and to be proud of this year. Now, before I go into my official top 5, this is not based on any sort of scale. These are just 5 releases that I personally loved. I love having in the collection. I love looking at. I love owning and just having that connection to that thing with. And I will say also, welcome to the new studio. It's not done yet, but it's getting there. Anyway, so we're gonna dive into those. But first, this year I couldn't really compile a great list. There was like, I would get 5, and then there'd be like one that I'd be battling others or something. Anyway, some else was always going on in that list. So I have 3 runner-up titles, and the first of them being the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on 4K, if this will focus, from Dark Sky Films. And I know that this got a beautiful treatment from the team over at Second Sight for the UK. We were able to import that into the US thanks to Diabolic and Orbit and such, but I didn't love the cover art on it. I love the presentation. I love everything that's involved. I'm a huge fan of what Second Sight does. I have a ton of their stuff actually right over here. But at the time that it came out, I was sort of like, okay, how much better can Texas Chainsaw Massacre look? I mean, I feel like the best experience with it is on VHS, on your old, CRT TV. I feel like that's the way it was meant to be viewed, right? And like the Blu-rays look great, and I, happy with those. I'm like, man, this looks great. But I was like, how much better realistically can we get with a 4K? And I ended up finding the Dark Sky Films release, which is the release we got here in the US for the 4K, and just fell in love with this cover art. And this thing is jam-packed with features too. We have the brand new feature-length documentary, The Legacy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's also part of the Second Sight release. I think a lot of the bonus features were ported over. I don't know. I don't have that list in front of me. But this cover art is just awesome. I don't know who the artist is. I don't think it says on here. Yeah, it doesn't. But this cover art is great. And then underneath, you get the classic original poster art as well. This is what I was talking about. Like, Dark Sky just put out a tremendous release. I think I got this for like, I don't know, $20 or something. At the time that it came out, I figured I'm perfectly happy with this. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4K gets a runner-up spot from me. Another runner-up for me is actually a studio release. And this is the 4K Walmart exclusive release of John Wick Chapter 4 from Lionsgate. This was really cool. It's, not totally boutique level or boutique style. Most of why this movie actually hits my list is just because it looks incredible on 4K. But you got this cool box that opens up. You have the 4K inside. I did a full unboxing of this thing on my channel. There's a little pendant in here, a bunch of art cards, there's a map of France. There's all kinds of stuff jammed in this little box. And I'm pretty sure at the time this came out, I think it was only like $40, $44. It was like $8 or $9 actually higher than the standard Blu-ray pre-order price to get all this extra bonus stuff. And it stuck around for a little while. This didn't sell out instantly. It came with a poster as well. I don't know where that's at in the mess. I have no idea. But John Wick 4 looks incredible. It's one of my favorite films of the year. But it looks incredible on 4K. So it needed a shout out. Good job, Lionsgate. The final runner up before the official top 5 is actually a Paramount Presents release, and that is their release of Red Eye. This is the Wes Craven film from 2004, 2005, and I was really excited for this one. Erica was really excited for this one. A lot of people were. You know, anytime that we can get restored Wes Craven now it's a great thing. And Red Eye is such a quiet sleeper of a thriller. I feel like it kind of came and went. It never got an actual Blu-ray release. There was actually no other physical media release until this release here. And this is such a beautiful, beautiful presentation from Paramount. So we all know Wes Craven isn't exactly the most, I don't know, doesn't have the most visual flair. He's a little bit like, you know, him and John Carpenter and a lot of these masters of suspense and masters of horror they're not doing the craziest things with the camera. They're not going for these huge visual moments. It's very shot pretty tame, you know, for the time and for the reputation that they have. So the 4K lends itself really, really well. I mean, especially since the DVD, it's a huge upgrade from the DVD. But there is a ton of close-up shots in this that really show off the detail that 4K brings to it. All of the close-ups on Cillian Murphy's eyes, on Rachel McAdams' eyes. There's just a lot of beautiful detail in those, and I feel like this release kind of came and went. People were really excited about it when it first dropped, and then sort of the conversation just kind of died on it. And I get it, you know, it comes, it goes. That's the way things are now. You know, we're getting so much new stuff so fast. But when I was thinking about my personal favorite releases of the year, this was definitely on there as a runner-up. So now it's time for the big boy stuff. All right, so officially kicking off the top 5 with my 5th favorite release of the year. Believe it or not, a studio release, and this is Oppenheimer on 4K from Universal. This here was such a surprise, and I know a part of this is Christopher Nolan being an advocate for physical media, which is really important because you have, you know, James Cameron, who the public knows and the public loves. He resonates so much with pop culture, what he's put out into the world and what he's done for film and for pop culture in general. But he doesn't really, he loves physical media, but he doesn't back up that claim. He's using AI to completely scrub his films and reinsert grain. He's just doing weird things for somebody who claims to love and admire what physical media does. He's not really backing that up in what he's doing with it. Christopher Nolan is the opposite. He is defending physical media, discussing in public the importance of it, and then giving his releases the treatment, because Oppenheimer looks incredible at home. I mean, it's pretty much a perfect viewing experience. I didn't see it in theaters, so at home on 4K was my first experience, and honestly, I'm not really that upset that I missed it. I feel like I got a pretty similar experience here. I know it's probably not the case. I probably did miss out, but that's okay. But this home release is awesome. This thing sold out so fast. This is crazy hard to find. But not just from standpoint of making a great disc, but also the bonus features. You have, I think it's like an hour and 30-minute making of. That really dives into, there's like 5 chapters to it, and my favorite segment was them diving into all of the practical effects. There's a ton in this movie that was done practically that you might not think was, and you might think like, that's one of those things that probably would have been quicker and easier to do CGI. No, they actually had a team of people research how to do it practically and then pulled it off and actually absolutely crushed it. So you have a bunch of bonus features on here. There's over 3 hours as was advertised on the packaging. But just a beautiful, beautiful release. If you haven't gotten your hands on this yet, I urge you to. I still see people finding the Walmart Icon editions, which is the one that I wanted. But super happy with this 4K release. I can't believe, as a boutique collector, a studio made it on the list. So number 5, Oppenheimer. So my 4th favorite release of the year is coming from, as I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite labels to collect anymore. and that is George Romero's Martin from Second Sight Films. Look at this beauty. I did a full review on this earlier in the year, so I won't go too crazy on it, but Second Sight, just all the love that you could ask for a company to put into a release, they're putting in, and it's absolutely wonderful to see them really giving these movies the treatment they deserve from people who love these movies and love to give people who love these movies what they want out of it. This has the booklet. It's a beautiful release. You got a bunch of poster cards in here, all kinds of stuff. I mean, look at that artwork in there. That is just awesome. This is such a good release all around. It's in the wonderful hard box, you know, as well as recently, and I would actually probably say that this is tied with Martin. It would be It Follows, which is beautiful. I mean, this art, I'll show some closer stuff of it, but come on, look at that. Look at that. Just so good. Second Sight is crushing it. Year after year, they're becoming one of my favorite labels to collect. I don't love everything they put out, but these limited editions that they put out of movies that I love are must grabs, and that's why Martin / It Follows are my fourth favorite release of the year. Breaking into the top 3 is hands down one of my favorite limited edition labels to collect, and that is Arrow and their release of Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse. See if we can get that to focus. This was a really cool release because this is the UK release, but it's a 4K, so if you have region-free players, not a problem. Not a problem at all. 4K is region-free. But in the US, we got the A24 shop exclusive release, which is the large, like, kind of like art release. And it was the film in 4K, but outside of the storyboard art and some of the stuff that was included in that, it wasn't exactly like the most for fans release. It was really lacking in bonus features. It just didn't feel, it felt like, all right, here's a movie on 4K with our little flair added to it, $45 for it. And then Arrow swept in, and thanks to Diabolic, they gave us a proper treatment of the film. And in this, you get all of the hard box. You have the poster. You have a little booklet. Also, this thing is loaded with bonus features, including Art of Darkness, which is a brand new documentary on the film, its production, themes, and influences, featuring new interviews. It also ports over existing bonus features as well. You know, I love this movie to death. I really love this new artwork as well, and I really wish more like Robert Eggers, Ari Aster, that kind of like new I don't even know if it's elevated. I kind of hate that term, but these new genre filmmakers doing really interesting things. I wish Arrow would pick them up and put out more stuff like this, because this is a phenomenal release from them of one of my favorite films, especially of Eggers. It's actually my favorite Robert Eggers film to date. So yeah, breaking into the top 3s, The Lighthouse. And on to number 2, another studio release. But this one is a UK edition, which I think really gave a leg up over what we got here in the US. And that is from Warner Brothers. It is The Exorcist on 4K. Not only does this look incredible, but this release here is absolutely stunning. I am not inherently a steelbook collector. If you put a steelbook in front of me and a slipped version, I'm probably going to go with the slip version. But if you put the steelbook in a box and give me art cards and all this other bonus stuff, the deal is done. And especially if, look, this artwork on the front, I don't love. And I'm getting used to it. I actually like the back a little bit better than the front. But the best part is this steelbook, which absolutely rules. Look at that. So the tint of green, the original poster art, so good. And then you have a little extra packet in here full of all kinds of little goodies. This year being the 50th anniversary of The Exorcist, and of course not too long ago we lost William Friedkin. I'm super happy to see a film of this magnitude getting this treatment. Even the Bible release, which sold out so fast. Ridiculous how fast that sold out. This film deserves that, if more. Also, doing things like the director's cut and the theatrical cut on 4K, plus porting over most of the major bonus features, that's a win in my book. So I definitely love to see this coming out. I know it's coming out in the UK and we have to import it. It's a little bit of a pain, but it is what it is. I'm happy to see this happening. And this is much better artwork than that weird green one that we got here in the US, the regular slip one. I wasn't really a fan of that. But I love this to death. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic release. So my number 2 is from Warner Brothers, The Exorcist. And coming into my number 1, this box set is insane. And most of why this got the leg up for me, it's just the sheer amount of work and the sheer amount of effort that went into this. And this is a company that, you know, when you hear box set, you know they're putting everything they possibly can into it. They do it time and time and time again. And just, yeah. So my favorite release of the year is The Sensual World of Black Emmanuel from Severin. This is absolutely a mammoth of a release. This thing weighs like, I don't know, probably 5-6 pounds. This thing is huge. This is 15 discs, 24 feature films, 2 soundtrack compilation CDs, 40 plus hours of special features, and a 356 page book. If you look at this spine here, this is the book. This holds all the discs. This is the book. That's absurd. That's a novel. And that is full of write-ups and reviews and all kinds of stuff. A lot of the people who actually contributed to that book are no longer with us. They're film historians who have passed, or people who were involved in some capacity that have passed away since they've done this writing. There's an excellent Severin podcast episode that coincided with this release that really gave a lot of background into how this came together. And I can't really open this up and show you a lot of it because YouTube will be very upset with me. But the fact that this even exists is incredible. A lot of these films were maybe not lost, but really hard to find. Some of them were actually lost. There are a bunch of brand new transfers done on here by Severin, color graded by Severin. A lot of footage that was never seen if there was a previous release is here. These are finally films in their complete, how they were meant to be shown. And whether or not you enjoy this kind of movie or like these movies or what they do, you have to appreciate just the art of restoration, the art of bringing these films to life for the people who do love them, or for people to discover them. People like me who was interested, and now I'm discovering these for the first time, and I love them. So that's the important thing about physical media, and that's why I think Black Emmanuel's hands down my favorite release of the year. And this thing is not cheap. It's still available. It's like $200 around that, I think. But it's absolutely worth every single penny of it if you're a fan, or even if you're just mildly interested and you're like, yeah, I wonder if I can get into that. This is worth diving into. In my opinion, this is why I love physical media. This is why I think we're thriving in physical media. Releases like this. So it's truly been a year, both for physical media and for life. I really just want to thank everyone who hung around, reached out via Instagram, reached out to check in, see if everything was okay. I'm so happy to be back here doing this again. Absolutely incredible year for releases. I've said it a million times, and I feel like Best Buy pulling out of physical media sucks. Sony pulling out of Australia for physical media, it sucks. It's not good, but I feel like physical media is thriving and it's growing thanks to boutique labels putting the love and the care into these releases that they should. And while I feel like studios still have some catching up to do, there were a lot of really good things that happened this year. The John Wick set, the Warner Brothers treatment of The Exorcist on 4K, companies like Universal putting out the Universal Essentials, which came in a hard box with art cards and numbered film cells and just all kinds of other cool stuff. So studios are seeing that we as collectors are investing and purchasing what boutique labels are putting out, and they want that money. But on the other hand, we're also seeing a lot of companies licensing out to these boutique labels. You have Vinegar Syndrome putting out a bunch of Paramount stuff. They just put out the Prophecy 3-pack set, putting out MGM stuff. So companies, if they don't want to do it themselves, they're going to get the money and license it out to someone who will put in the love and care, because it's going to sell. We're going to buy them. We're going to love them. We're going to enjoy them. And it gives the labels, you know, some more notoriety. They're putting out bigger name titles, more well-known stuff, more stuff that's going to bring people who might not be as deep into the space as we are in, and have them purchasing their stuff as well, possibly creating a new fan for life and purchasing stuff that they don't know. So I think it was a really important year. I think 2024 is going to be even bigger. There's already a bunch of stuff that came out in the last month that hasn't even been delivered yet that I think is going to make top lists for 2024. So I'm really, really, really excited to be a part of it. Really excited to throw my hard-earned money at it and bring it all home. And I'll continue to love it even more. I don't care how many physical stores get rid of it. Listen, I'm here for the long haul. Give me everything. Let's just let boutique labels run the world. So do me a favor, guys. Go over on Instagram. Follow me there. It is BeardedFilmGuy. Other than that, I hope everybody had a beautiful Christmas and has a great new year. I'll catch y'all later.